Hi, everyone. This is Vince, and I'm coming to you live on Thursday, April 9th, and we are 1 hour until the close. And just wanted to give you my thoughts on the Tesla chart. Well, it's been a tough week for Tesla. We had a big, giant $17 gap up yesterday, ended up giving it all back. And now we are currently trading at the low of yesterday's candle. Now I've got these two white lines drawn here, and what that is the gap that was open back from September when Elon Musk's new compensation plan was announced. And at that time, Tesla was trading at $350. It then ran up $150 in a matter of 3 months, only to give it all back over the course of the last 4 months. So we are right back to that spot. And this gap is very important for today and also for tomorrow when the week closes, because what happened in these last three candles is we ended up filling the gap on Tuesday, and right at the end of the day, we closed above it. And so that was a positive development, because gaps are very important to track, and they can often act as support or resistance. And the next day, of course, was yesterday on Wednesday. We had that giant $17 gap up. And the concerning part was not only did we give up the entire gap up, but we actually closed lower than the previous day. And we actually closed into that September gap from the compensation plan. So right now we are very close to that gap. And what we don't want to see, if we're long Tesla, is we don't want to see price today close below this white line, because then that would give us two consecutive candles closing back inside the gap. And it increases the probabilities in that case that this gap could become resistance for the next leg down. And this gap starts at 343.82. So right now we're about $3 above it, but Tesla's being very choppy today, and we've got about 58 minutes before the close. So that's the key level that I'm watching right now. Now, if we do close above that September gap, that doesn't necessarily make it bullish. For me, it's more of just not getting more bearish, if that's possible, because we've been in a very steep downtrend ever since the all-time high. Every bounce has been sold off as resistance. And, speaking of gaps, the other gap to the upside, if we're going to turn this around, if the bulls want to take control at all, what's really needed is to fill the gap that was created back on April 2nd, which was the Q1 deliveries reaction. So we had a big gap down at that time, and that gap remains open. So, we've got a lot of work to do on the long side before we can even think about getting bullish. So that gap from the deliveries announcement is really vital to get filled. And the concerning part is yesterday when we had that big gap up, we couldn't even take out the previous high that was part of this sell-off from the deliveries reaction. So that's where we're sitting right now. We're at 346. The level that we want to close above is 343.82. But again, that doesn't necessarily make it bullish at this stage. To have a good close on the week, we're going to need to see a big Friday, and there's a lot of doubts if that's possible. But step one for the better chance is to close above this gap from September. So that's where we are. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll talk to you later.